Hello.
Hey,
Hi.
how are you?
I'm doing well, doing well. How are you?
I am okay. It's very good to see your face, even if it is just through screen.
It's good to see your face too. It makes me happy. So we're the surprise view host today.
We
So
are. Although maybe we're not a surprise anymore. Maybe we're just old hat now.
maybe we're just run of the mill old hat.
Yeah.
Hey, any thoughts on today's service?
Oh man, that was a good word from Leisha. I liked the way that I liked her take on that. Obviously, that's a very common parable, and I've heard many, many sermons on it. But I liked that idea of just like living with risk, like being okay with that because your security is somewhere else. I thought that was really powerful. How about for you?
Oh, well, I always appreciate when leaders of communities, it doesn't matter which communities, share a bit of themselves. So to hear her tell the story about hiding money in a closet behind the cooler and her mother with the money in the bra, like, I think I or we can all relate to that. So I always appreciate that kind of transparency. It always touches my heart. But yeah, it was really good service. So yeah.
Yeah, good. Well, I feel like on The View they always talk about food. So before we welcome our surprise guest, have you eaten anything delicious? Cooked any fish curries or anything? That's what you were
Today,
making last time we chatted.
oh, that's right. Oh my gosh. We made pasta. It's been a lot of pasta lately, so no complaints about that. And popcorn. It's been some comfort eating with popcorn these past weeks. So, and Brian makes popcorn from scratch, so I'm a very, very lucky person because it's really good.
Oh,
How
does
about
he do fancy stuff? Does he put like fancy toppings or
oh,
caramelized things and
oh, just butter, salt, a little crack of pepper, and freshly grated Parmesan cheese. So that's like the kind of
Ooh,
standard thing. So it's really good. Yeah. I don't
yeah.
think that qualifies as a meal, but
Oh no, it definitely does. If the bowl is big enough, it's definitely a meal.
how about you? What's been your favorite food so far?
Yesterday I went and had brunch with a couple of friends down at Little Owl in the West Village, which I haven't eaten there in a long time.
Ooh.
And my sort of favorite brunch food out is a burger and fries. I just can't pass it up. So that was really a treat. But the unfortunate thing is that that was the first time I'd worn pants that zip up in 8 months. And so I've been living in an elastic delusion, and it was not pleasant. So,
There's a whole nother alternate reality of our lives that we aren't living in right now.
yeah. So I'm
Sometimes
not
it
I'm not itching to I'm back in my leggings and I'm not itching to go back to that anytime soon. But
found a
yeah,
comfort
so
zone.
yes, shall we welcome our surprise guest?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
Yeah. So it
Come out
is
wherever you
Hi,
are.
everyone.
it is Rachel
Hello.
Lim.
Hi.
Hi, you guys have made me hungry and we haven't even started.
That's what the view does.
I
It makes
know, it
everybody
really does.
hungry.
Sort of our personal MO, I think.
Yeah. For those of you that don't know Rachel, Rachel is actually an intern with St. Peter's right now. Are you in like your final year of seminary or?
Yes, I am in my final year of seminary at Princeton Theological Seminary, so I am in New Jersey.
Okay.
Oh,
And how long, I know since we've been in, quarantine for so long that people may not have met you because you actually started during this COVID season, right?
hmm Yeah, I have the advantage that I feel like I have at least like seen a lot of people over the Zoom screens, but I haven't actually been seen, which I don't really mind. I found out about some St. Peter's back in, I want to say January, actually. I think I had like three separate friends who just mentioned Christine's name to me on separate occasions because they had met her from various situations in the seminary. So then I like wanted to visit the service, but I had my own internship at the time at a Episcopal church in Princeton. But then that internship ended, and you all went online, so I could start watching the services. So I think I started watching around like March or so, like really right around when you guys first transitioned online. And then Christine and I had some conversations over the summer, and I had another year left and wanted to find a church that I could be helpful in some way. And Christine graciously let me join, and yeah, it's been fun. So it's been good to be a part of the church, even from miles away in Princeton.
That's wonderful.
Amazing. I love it. So, just a little background. Where did you grow up?
I was born in California, but I never got to enjoy the nice sunny weather. This is what my sister and I always complained to my dad. We moved to the Chicagoland area
Oh,
before. Oh yeah, are you from Chicago? I don't know. Yeah, so we moved to Chicago because my dad was doing his PhD at Trinity, and then he got a job teaching in Chicago. So we just always stayed in the suburbs. Yeah, so I went to college there too. I went to Wheaton College, which is just another suburb outside of Chicago. And then I moved. I was the first in my family to actually move to the East Coast, and then actually they've all joined for separate reasons. So my parents are both outside DC now. My dad is pastoring at a church, and my sister is doing a PhD at the University of Maryland College Park. So it's kind of fun. We all left the Midwest and are now situated out here.
yeah, you did like
Yeah.
a backwards migration from California to, I mean, historically people moved east to west, but I could see how you would hold that over your dad, taking you from California to Chicago. Oh my gosh, it gets so cold there.
Oh, I know. It's really like the opposite weather. I'm glad to be out of it.
Okay.
Oh, but Chicago's a great city.
It
It
is.
is
It
a
is.
great
It
city.
is. But
Cool.
like I never got to live in the actual like downtown Chicago. I just lived in the suburbs. So
Yeah,
it was like the bad weather without the fun like aesthetic and things to do in the actual city. I
um,
about it.
Cool.
so a little birdie also told us that you are a fan of the Great British Baking Show.
Yes.
So the
Yes.
most important question is, whose team
Yeah.
are you on right now?
I know. Okay. I have to say, I'll try not to spoil it in case people are still watching it. But I've been very upset about the recent eliminations of who left the show. I think of the people who are left, I'm a big fan of Peter. He's just such an adorable guy. And he's the youngest one, so I'm rooting for him. And he's like watched every single episode of every season before he came on the show. I'm also a big fan of Hermine. I'm trying to remember how she says her name. I really like her. I think she's really good. But I kind of like most people who are left now, I think, with the exception of like one or two. So I can kind of root for everyone.
Yeah.
Are you guys watching it?
Christopher, are you a fan?
We haven't watched it in a while, so we're not up to date on the most recent season. But that wouldn't matter because when we started watching, I think we started at season like 6 or something, and we started from there and we went backwards. So, which is its own kind of enjoyment to see the different hosts and what they were like, to see their fashion sort of retrograde a little bit. But
Yeah.
anyway, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
we totally enjoy that show. It is
Yeah.
so easygoing.
It's just refreshing. They help each other and they're kind to each other. And there's not this like very American sentiment of like, and now everything's gonna be set on fire and you have to finish in 5 minutes. It's just like, who wants to watch that?
Like,
So
Yeah, no, exactly. It's a great like quarantine show too to watch during a pandemic because it's just like it's so calming and they're all like, let me help you, like set up your cake and get this out of the oven and
yeah, it's a great reminder of the power of the human spirit to like learn something and just pour your heart into it and do your best. So yeah.
Sure.
So I do have to put the disclaimer out that this season has had some questionable choices.
Yes.
I've been sort of like, we watched, a couple weeks ago, the Japan.
Yes.
That one hurt a little bit.
It did.
I'm gonna leave that there. But.
Yeah, I was telling someone that the show did lose a couple points for me on that episode. My sister and I were just watching them make like their steamed buns with like hamburger ingredients and like Thai and Indian, and we were like, this is a Pan-Asian episode, not a Japanese episode.
Yeah, it was interesting, but okay, they tried.
Brenna is saying Team Peter, and Ryan is saying Team Hermine. Aaron Lee is saying Hermine all the way. Okay, so these are spoilers, but But
Okay. Yeah.
Everyone but Dave. I just don't like Dave.
He's not a likable
Yeah.
character. He just doesn't come across warm and fuzzy, but he's a good baker.
He is a good baker. I'll hand it to him. He usually chooses good flavors to go in his bakes.
Yeah. But I am definitely, for the record, Team Peter. He's from Scotland. I lived in Scotland for a while when I was young, so like I love him. But
yeah, he's great.
Yeah. So should we get into it?
Yeah, let's do.
Ready, Rachel?
I am ready. I've been trying to think about every possible question I could be asked. To think ahead of time.
I think you wasted a lot of time doing that. But these are easy. Don't worry. They're good. Christopher, can you start us?
Sure. Question number 1. What is your favorite vacation place or place you've ever traveled?
A place I have traveled, not a place I want to travel. Oh, okay. That is a good question. This is making me realize I haven't been to a ton of places. I will say it's more than a couple of years ago now. Probably like 4 years ago, my family took a trip to Germany. So my mom and my sister and I flew into Berlin, and we spent a couple of days there. And then we met my dad in Regensburg, Germany, which is about, I want to say like less than an hour from Munich, I want to say. And we were there because my dad was teaching. He was teaching a college course over there. And I loved it because I studied German in high school and in college. And I had no one to like practice with or to speak with. Granted, saying that, like, I still didn't practice it very much with the Germans because I was too intimidated, and they just looked at me and saw an Asian girl and they spoke English to me. But yeah, no, I loved it. We went to Munich, we went to Regensburg, we were in Berlin for a few days. And then we also took a side trip to Prague and to Austria. We spent a couple of days in Austria where they filmed The Sound of Music. And that was a really great trip. I'd always wanted to visit Germany.
So you were that student who didn't go for Spanish or who didn't go for French.
No, I did. Well, okay, I took Spanish for 1 year, my freshman year of high school, and I like cannot roll my R's, and so I just quit. And I asked my dad what I should take. My high school only had Spanish, French, and German, and my dad, he has his PhD and he teaches theology. He said, "Oh, you should do German because German is like a really academic, useful language if you ever want to do a PhD." So I studied German, and then I have forgotten it all now. But I do, I enjoy it. Yeah, I really like some German poets too. So I don't know if anyone's out there studying German. There are some great poets to read.
Very cool. Yeah. Who's your favorite German poet?
So there's a poet named Rainer Maria Rilke, who is a man. I was very confused about this when I was like 15. But yeah, he's like I want to say kind of in between like the Romantic and modern era. And he wrote a bunch of sonnets. He wrote these sonnets to Orpheus and just a really wide variety of poems. But yeah, he's probably the first German poet I ever read.
Very cool. All right, next question. If you could only choose one between books, music podcasts, I guess we're putting together for the rest of your life, which one would you choose?
That's such a sad question to contemplate. Probably books. Books have always been my first love. Although I do love podcasts and music. But yes, if I had a life just full of books, I could get through.
Okay.
I keep wanting to ask you guys these questions because I don't know your answers.
It's uninteresting. We're uninteresting. Only you are interesting right now. So.
No. Christopher's like, speak for yourself.
Well, quick response. I would choose movies over everything else just because they're interesting anyway. But yeah. Question number 3. Would you rather win the lottery or work at the perfect job?
I feel like I should say the perfect job, but if I'm truly thinking about it, I'm like, the lottery would be pretty great too. No, I mean, I would say like The lottery just ruined so many people's lives. And I want to say that I would be mature enough to avoid all the pitfalls, but I probably wouldn't. My dad growing up used to always say, like, nothing divides family like money. So maybe I should go with the perfect job. I don't actually know what I think of as the perfect job, but if someone like discovered it for me and told me, especially if like the perfect job then includes like a lot of money, then I could have like both a meaningful career and not worry about finances.
Yeah.
But I'm in seminary, so that's probably not going to happen.
You never know. Look at Paula White.
Martha, quick response. How about you?
Me?
Yes.
Oh, a lottery, 100%. I was born to be a woman of leisure. It's just that my life has somehow gone in the opposite direction. But you could win the lottery, but like in secret. There are like people who
That's
don't,
true.
I think, go big and like, oh, I just won $9 million in the lottery. Like, I wouldn't do that. But
That's
yeah,
fair.
yeah. I think work's overrated. That's me. Okay, so who was your favorite teacher in school and why?
My favorite teacher in school was a guy named Roger Lundeen. He was one of my English professors at Wheaton. And he was like everything. He was 65 years old. He was 6'6". So he was like this really tall giant of a man. And he had so much energy. Like he would race around the room with like a book on top of his head, and he would like lie on the floor to make a point. Like he just had this like endless amount of energy, and he was so joyful, like in a kind of like very childlike way. But then he also had all of this like wisdom and like maturity from his years, and he would just like say these things, and we would just like sit, like I would forget to take notes because I would just be sitting there taking in like all of these really profound things he had to say. He taught my American literature class, and I went into that class thinking that I didn't like American literature, which I had no reason to think at the time. I just thought it seemed more sophisticated to say I liked like, Victorian literature or something. And then I took that class, and whether or not he helped me discover it, or I just came to love American literature because he loved it. Yeah, a lot of my favorite books now are books that he taught, and a lot of the poets that I read a lot are poets that he taught. Yeah, so he was definitely my favorite.
That sounds like a great teacher.
Yeah.
He really was.
Like out of a movie.
He was, I know. He was like an older, like Robin Williams from the Dead Poet Society.
All right, next question. If you could have a superpower, what would it be?
I would have to go with a pretty classic answer and say if I could just like transport myself anywhere, that would be great. Wouldn't have to worry about flights, wouldn't have to worry about COVID and traveling. Could just see all the people I want to see.
You could go to Germany and be back.
I know. I could go to Germany. Yeah, I could go. I really haven't visited that many different places. Every time my family had vacation opportunities, like we usually just went to the East Coast because that's where all of our relatives were. And so I'm realizing, like, even in the United States, I just haven't been to that many places. I've just been to all the states on the way to driving from Chicago to Maryland. Yeah, so teleporting myself would be the life.
Well, maybe that could feed into your perfect job, the job that helps you to travel and to see different places.
That's true. That's good. Yeah.
Oh, I thought you were going to say that you could discover how to teleport. That's her perfect job.
That could be your job.
Achievable goals.
You know, put some of that English degree and German lessons into, and you can figure out how to teleport. I think you can do it.
Thank you. I appreciate that vote of confidence. I'll let you know if it ever happens.
Okay, so what are some of your favorite comfort foods?
Ooh.
This is a big question on The View.
Yeah, comfort foods. So some of them would be less traditional things that you would think about. So like for me, Korean food is just like a comfort food, especially ever since I left home and I can't really cook my own Korean food. I'm trying to learn a few dishes, but I can't speak or read Korean. So it's hard to like get the ingredients and to follow the recipes. So all kinds of Korean food these days are my comfort food. Really any kind of soup or stew. I was just telling someone I could pretty much have soup every day for the rest of my life and be pretty content, I think. I just keep cycling through all of the varieties of soups. And then I'm a huge baker, so really like breads, cookies, scones, everything, muffins, cakes. I just, as we talked about the Great British Baking Show, I really love to bake. Yeah, so those are some of them.
Now I'm starving.
I'm so sorry.
That's a good list.
I love it is.
Yeah.
All the warm, cozy things. All right, next question. What are you deeply grateful for right now?
I think I would say I'm really thankful for my friends. It's kind of a classic answer, but I think especially this year with everything going on globally and just like in my own life, there's been a lot of things going on. And so, yeah, I just find myself really thankful for friends from all stages of my life, like the ones that are in Princeton, who I can go on walks with, or like the select few that we still go into each other's apartments and hang out. But also friends from college and from my youth group growing up. We catch up on the phone every so often. We sometimes we'll watch, we'll do like Netflix parties. I think they changed the name of the app. I forgot what it's called now, but basically Netflix parties and watch movies together virtually. Friends who, someone brought me like an entire sourdough loaf the other day, just when I was having a bad week. And yeah, so just really, really thankful for my friends and people to kind of be family right now while family is far away.
Yeah. Do you think you'll be able to see your family for the holidays? Such a tricky question right now.
I know, I think so. My sister and I have been talking about that and trying to figure that out. I think we will. I don't know exactly what that will look like. Thankfully, my family, they're only like a couple of hours away, and I don't know what it will be like seeing extended family relatives. And both my parents' families are in the same area, so geographically it's convenient, but I don't know if I'll see grandparents necessarily. But at least my immediate family I will see, which will be nice.
Yeah. Okay. This is actually a great segue from your previous answer. What do you most value in your friends?
Do I most value? I would say probably honesty. Honesty as it relates to both like a sense of vulnerability, I think. But also honesty in the sense of just like humility or authenticity, just throwing in a lot of synonyms here. Yeah, like friends who are just kind of themselves, honest with themselves and with me. There's just such a performative aspect, I think, to just like daily life. I've been thinking about this lately. And just like this kind of constant like self-consciousness or self-editing as we just go about our days. I do this all the time. And so I think my friends who are just like genuinely themselves, I really appreciate.
It's a great answer.
Great answer. Next question. What is your most treasured possession?
My most treasured possession. That's a good question. I will say one thing that comes to mind. There is an artist I really loved. His name is Makoto Fujimura. He's a Japanese artist. And a couple of years ago for my birthday, my friends pulled together their money and they bought me a canvas replica of one of his paintings. It's called, I want to say it's called Keros Christos, parentheses, like the Tears of Christ. If I had it up right now, I would show it to you. But he does this like kind of abstract expressionism art style, I guess, and he does like this traditional Japanese style where he takes these like precious minerals and he basically like crushes them into pigments and he paints with them. And he's also Christian, and so his paintings have very like Christian resonances too. But yes, so that is one of my most prized possessions. He also went to my church in Princeton last year. Fun fact. Yeah, but he's really great. You should check out his artwork if you like that kind of thing.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
Very cool. Okay, last question. You almost made it through. When you're trying to be brave, but you're afraid, what do you do?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's me all the time. I'm always trying to be brave. I think if it's like something specific that I am trying to be brave about, I just like research the heck out of it and over prepare. That is just kind of my tactic for things that scare me. If it's something that is not very specific that I can't over prepare for, something I do that kind of calms me down is that I often will turn to words that have been with me over a long period of time. So certain poems or certain quotes, passages in books, like I'll just reread these words, and it just will remind me of all the previous times in my life that I have freaked out about something and been scared. And it's just like a reminder to me of God's faithfulness, I think, over time. I'm someone who just kind of collects words and really values literature and poetry. So yeah, if I can't over prepare and research, I'll go back and reread things.
Yeah.
I love it. I love that term, God's faithfulness. I'm gonna live with that today.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations. You made it through 10
Thank you. Thanks for making this painless.
rapid fire questions. It's never rapid fire, is it? Because
It's not.
people are so interesting and you are so interesting. So of course we want to hear more about your life and your journey and your thoughts and points of view. So I think we were successful today in that.
Yeah, for sure. It was such a delight to get to know you a little bit
Yeah.
more. So really thank you for sharing yourself with us.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was fun. It was not as painful as I thought it would be. So thank you.
Good. Yeah. See, all of your research was for naught. Did we ask any questions that you prepared for?
Only like you mostly asked questions that weren't really part of like the previous view. So you're right. I did spend time preparing for questions that were not asked, but you did ask a few, like the ones about being deeply grateful. And then this last one about when I'm scared. Anything that sounded eloquent, I probably prepared for it ahead of time.
I love it. Well, everyone is very impressed. And Leisha's asking that we're to put the name of the artist in the chat so we could follow him. So
yes, I don't.
I think Jin put it in there.
Okay.
So I don't know if I can put it in.
And
Makoto Fujimura.
Rachel, Martha, and Christopher. This was great. And I don't know if we could say anything other than that, other than have an amazing Sunday, you two. Have an amazing
Yes, you too. And everyone watching.
Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.